Right, so, Caroline, with those few introductory words, perhaps you'd like to give us your brief presentation.
I think what he means by all of that is that I need to be quick, otherwise we won't get through all the questions. So, if anybody can't hear me, will you please say so? Don't sit and do this, but just let me know. So I'm going to start with the Assured Breeder Scheme, because it is so central to everything that we're doing now. Can I have a quick straw poll of hands as members? Yeah? Great, quite a number of you. Oh, and me.
And me.
Okay, we'll do ones here as well. We have achieved UCAS accreditation for the scheme this year. We're very proud of that because actually it was extremely hard to achieve because they set it very high standards. That doesn't mean to say high standards of breeding because that's our business and your business. It means they set very high requirements from them that we have to do what we say we're doing. So in other words, if we say to you that you must health test all your dogs, then they check that we are checking that you are health testing all your dogs. So it's not about setting the standard for breeding, it's about setting the standard of how we oversee what you're doing and how you do what you do in return. But UCAS accreditation is not easily won, and we've achieved it. We need to keep it. We had to introduce a new fee structure to go with that, because whatever anybody says about the ABS being a money-making scheme, I can assure you that it's very far from it. The fact that we're now employing full-time inspectors, not just volunteers, because we started with a host of volunteers, but we now have quite a number of full-timers as well, who are permanent and are fully paid, does mean that we now have to charge more for the visits. So we have a new fee structure which will carry on increasing over the next few years, and then it hits the ceiling. You can just pay a one-off fee to have your inspection, but that's the way it's actually been structured for the time being. And we have, as I mentioned, we now have full-time inspectors, and we've had to staff that up in order to be able to get to everybody this year, because obviously anyone that's breeding must have an inspection before we can register their pups. I will just say that there have been some little glitches in that purely in order to be able to fit everybody in and have the numbers dealt with. On the health side, you're all very well aware of everything that we've been doing on health. I don't know how, are any of you aware of Breed Watch? You've got it in your own breeds, you read about it before you go judging and so on. Good idea, good plan? On the whole, yeah? I mean, I think it's one of those things that there's always room for changes, for moving things, for discussing and so on. But most of the Breed Watch points were actually highlighted by judges in the first place, so by you guys. And obviously we now have the education day for that as well, which I think quite a number of people here I've seen at those education days for Breed Watch. And generally going fairly well, I would say. It's something that we've kind of followed on from other kennel clubs. The Swedes in particular started with this type of idea of actually highlighting particular issues in breeds. You will all be aware of our high-profile breeds as well, I'm sure, even if you're not in the high-profile breeds. The Frenchies and the Clumbers, we changed the high-profile breeds to being category 1, 2 and 3. Category 3 is what was previously the high-profile breeds. Category 2 is kind of at watch. They've come off the high-profile, the category 3. They're still on our radar. They still have to report back. Judges have to report back, but they're not having to undergo the veterinary inspections and so on. And category 1 is all the other breeds. So the Frenchies and the Clumbers have moved from category 3 to category 2 in recent times. Obviously they need to keep an eye on everything they're doing, but they've made great strides forward, and I'm sure that there will be other breeds that will follow in due course. Other symposia that we run, the Breeder Symposia, has anybody here been to that? And the Breed Health Coordinators Symposia that we run as well. I think there's a busy woman here in the front who's been to both. I think they've always been interesting, actually, whether you're a breed health coordinator or actually probably if you don't even breed. They have been very interesting, lots of different topics that come up all the time, but also open for lots of suggestions. So if anybody's got ideas of things that we should be doing, then please let us know. Genetic Centre and Cancer Centre, both of those are at the Animal Health Trust. I'm sure many of us here have taken dogs to either to the Animal Health Trust or to the other veterinary universities, but many of those places actually undergo research and health work that all of the universities then learn from. The Genetics Centre is something that we set up, which is actually funded by the Charitable Trust, which is another of Mike's hats. The Genetics Centre was set up about 5 years ago now, 6 years ago?
6 now.
6 years. And is being funded, continued to be funded by the Kennel Club Charitable Trust. And the Cancer Centre is also at the Animal Health Trust, with the aim of working together to try to find any genetic background for cancer. We've also introduced an online health journal, which is really aimed at both professionals and breeders. So it's about the scientific world, but it is also of interest to breeders who are interested in particular health subjects, particularly where they are genetically related. So every subject matter has a research paper, but it also has a full, I'm not going to say a lay summary, because it's actually a lay version. That's all online, it's all free, it's all available to you. It's just getting going, so there are plenty of interesting things on there already, definitely worth a look. And obviously we're working with the veterinary profession. Having a veterinary surgeon now as our chairman has certainly made a big difference to our liaison with the veterinary profession. Not that we didn't already do it, but actually it's quite helpful when you've got somebody who's not always totally in favour of the veterinary profession, so he needles them rather a lot, so it can be quite helpful. MyKC, anybody here on MyKC now? Joined up? Yeah? Enjoy it?
Yeah.
Think it's good? Yeah? Great. Anybody that's not using it, please go and have a look, because all your dogs are on there. Drive you mad, because you'll find all the dogs that have never been transferred still on your list. We are working on that one. The health test results finder, that's the HTRS, so I couldn't fit it all on there, but the health test results finder is there, available from MyKC as well. Coefficients of inbreeding, all of those nice little tools from Mate Select, which are really there intended to help you with your breeding choices. Obviously it offers benefits for both breeders and for puppy buyers, but they're different. And there may be some things that are of absolutely no interest to you at all, but they will be of interest to other breeders in other breeds. And functions are growing within Mate Select. We are developing it all the time. So anything that you're using now, we hope to continue to develop. Registrations. The online registrations are going up all the time, along with transfers as well. Lots of your puppy buyers will be doing their transfers online, as well as you doing your litter registrations online. And of course, this whole move to online means that we now have Find a Puppy, Find a Rescue and Find a Club, all online. We're working on Find a Chipper?
Implanter.
Find an Implanter, Find a Chipper. So people that do implanting of microchips as well, so that's a new one that will be coming on. Education and training, just going on from what I was saying about the health seminars, we do lots of different seminars in all different areas. Many of them are run at Stoneleigh. A few of them are still run within Clarges Street, but we have whole months of training seminars, which many of you will have attended, I'm sure, but again, it's a programme that we're constantly developing. Also within Catherine's area, we have the Kennel Club Accredited Instructors Scheme, which is all about making sure that trainers are properly trained. Again, in all different aspects. I don't know if any of you are KCAI or undertaking any of the training. But it is becoming more and more the scheme for people to go to, so that people can be absolutely sure that the trainer that they are using or that they're sending their puppy buyers to is somebody that is properly trained themselves. And it's across all areas, so whether it's in rescue work or police work or whatever it might be, to make sure that the standards are proper. The Good Citizen Dog Scheme, I'm sure we're all aware of that. We've done our bronzes or whatever else we've done. Always a really useful one to send your puppy buyers along to, just basic puppy training. And then the puppy socialisation plan, which I hope everybody realises is absolutely there for you to use or not as you choose. It is voluntary. But it is there as a really good way of trying to get people who maybe aren't as aware as you are of the need for socialisation. When you get a breeder that maybe is new or isn't really within our world, those are the people that really need to start using this sort of thing, because they're sending puppies out into the big wide world that don't have the sort of grounding that you've given your puppies. So actually just recommending it to people is very helpful, and certainly puppy buyers seem to find it really useful. Puppy Awareness Week, which we run every September now in conjunction with Mark Abraham, TV vet, which is all about just making the message about why people should go to a proper breeder and not go to a puppy farmer. Breed Rescue, fantastic work that everybody does within Breed Rescue. Within Breed Rescue, all of the breed rescues actually rehome more dogs in a year than Battersea and Dogs Trust put together. So it is a massive programme of dogs and rehoming that all of you undertake within your clubs. Bark and Read I've put on there as well, again funded by the Charitable Trust. It's a programme where people can take their dogs, if you don't know about it already, but people who volunteer to take their dogs into schools, properly trained dogs, to listen to kids reading. So children that have very little interest in reading, who are shy about reading, won't pick up a book, but they will when it's to a dog. And it's just amazing, the results. You know, the reading age can go up by anything up to 18 months to 2 years within a very, very short space of time, simply because there is a non-judgmental dog to sit and read to, rather than a human being who might say, no, you don't say it like that, or no, that's not the right word. Events. I won't go through all of this lot because you're very well at Crufts, Discover Dogs. We're now very involved with the London and Manchester pet shows. Again, along the theme of Discover Dogs, getting the breeds out there, letting people see what breeds are what, and talking to experts in their breeds. Agility Festival, Obedience Field Trials, Working Trials, Rally, Heel Work to Music, Canicross. We cover all of it, and it's growing all the time, and it keeps Catherine's team in particular very busy. External affairs. I will try not to go on too much about this because I know that the chairman wants me to move on. We try to look after the rights of dog walkers, in other words what we call access to areas of the countryside that you want to be able to walk your dog in, or even the local park, where it's being undermined constantly by local authorities and by the law. People invoking the law in order to be able to say you may not walk your dog there. It's one of our biggest campaigns, is watching what's going on, taking feedback from you guys whenever you notice that that's what's being consulted upon in a local area, so that we can go back and say you can't do that, you need to talk to people, you need to find somewhere for people to walk their dogs. Dangerous dogs, I'm sure you're all sick to death of hearing about it, but we are continually working on trying to get the law changed as far as the particular breeds are concerned. Such a meaningless law to just outlaw breeds and then think that you're safe. Puppy farming, as I mentioned before, electric shock collars, very much a campaign that we continue to try to get them banned. And pet advertising, so working with the pet advertisers, with the newspapers and the online advertisers to try to improve their standards, and they are surprisingly willing to work with us. Now that's a joint venture between the likes of Dogs Trust, Blue Cross and so on, where everybody's concerned to try to make sure that actually puppies are not being sold badly or misrepresented and so on. I think Gumtree last year took down or refused to take around 10,000 adverts as a result of the work that this group does with them. Yeah, it's pretty effective. Microchipping does become compulsory in 2016. I'm sure you're all chipping your puppies already. I know there's a question that comes up later on about that, so that's fine, we're happy to answer that. Monthly pet log registrations, that's the Kennel Club's microchipping database. There are others. But we're doing something like around 70 to 80,000 microchips per month. And that's across dogs and cats, but 70% of that is dogs. So the numbers of puppies being microchipped now is rising very rapidly, and that obviously is a great from our point of view, because the last thing we want is everybody coming in April 2016 trying to get their dogs onto the database at the last minute. And we have given free scanners to local authorities and to Kennel Club Breed Rescue to try to encourage more people to get involved with the whole idea of scanning. For the Kennel Club, microchipping and having it as being compulsory is very much about making sure everybody gets their dog back if it gets lost. To us, it's about reunification. It's not about all of the other law things, which may be wonderful benefits, but they're pretty hopeful. Whereas if you lose your dog and your dog's chipped, the chances are that you will probably get it back, unless somebody nicked it. Cardew Street, just finally. We are in the middle of a building site. It is improving gradually. I'm sure those of you that have been into the club and have listened to the nice background noises will be pleased to know that the demolition is actually finished. Hopefully Christmas lunches won't be too noisy. But they are gradually starting to build again, and I am told that our new building has come out of the ground, but I can't see it, so, you know, but apparently it's there, and it will be up by this time next year, if not a bit sooner. And finally, the plans for Aylesbury, we're hoping that we will be able to buy our own building at Aylesbury. We currently rent there, where all the registrations and pet log are based, so that would obviously be a sensible thing to do. And there is money available as well to buy another, not necessarily another Stoneleigh, but another ground for other events. But that might be things like agility, field trials and so on, more of the outdoorsy things rather than shows. I think that's me done.
Okay. Thank you, Cara.